David, I want to just, start with you with this and just about explain the backdrop behind you and how that grew, huh?
Well, I think Jacqueline Bernstein took a graphics design class.
Yes. Well, sure.
She put this together for us and her team. Actually, what this is this represents a small group of the people that we've been meeting with every week on Thursdays. I've been doing a call. This will be our, I think, our 6th week doing a call with industry leaders, owners, and operating managers of large event companies, not just in North America, but we have members that are, or not members, but people that are calling in from Europe and Middle East and Africa. We're getting some good information from our friends in Asia and Australia, but our call is usually while they're all sleeping. It's been a really great group of people for us just to kind of initially commiserate with, but it has turned into a really great source of sharing information and planning and looking forward to, what do we think? Where do we think this is all going, and when do we think it's all going to end, and what are some scenarios around that?
It's interesting, like, because I know, like, even with me, it was, did you hear? So really, when did this start again? How many weeks ago?
So this Thursday will be week 6.
6. Wow. So how many were on your first call?
I think we had about like 15 or so, and I think we're up to closer to 40 now. As we go through, different members are saying, hey, bring this person in, bring this person in. So there's about 40 people on the list right now from all over the world that are contributing their time and effort and their opinions and advice on this.
That's cool. So David, what do you want to share with everybody? Like, what have you been hearing? What are there's so much, but what have you been hearing? What are the, I mean, we know the situations, but what have you been hearing from everybody that's something that we can all grow from?
Right. And thank you. And I've got a few things I do want to share. First and foremost, I just want to say the one greatest pearl of wisdom I heard today was from Gary, which is truly, we got into this industry because we're all creative. And I've always said that my favorite part about being a creative is not so much designing events or media or any of those type of things. It's creative problem solving. So it's when situations come up that don't look like there's a way out, to always try to figure out that way out. So I want to encourage everybody out there to use your creativity to figure out what is next and what's the short term, what's the long term, how to get to the other side of this. So when we first started, 6 weeks ago, the whole world was still completely different. It had just stopped. We were all thinking it was going to be this 2 to 4 week stop. And like, well, in June, work will start coming back. And then as we started to see our summers go away, and, I have clients just canceling for the entire year, it became apparent that we need to really prepare for the worst and hope for the best always, right? So I know what we're doing, what a lot of people are doing as we talk about this is, how do you look at getting to the other side of 2020? What if 2020 is just a complete loss? How do you get to the other side? How do you get to 2021? And truthfully, when you think about it, 2021, it probably won't be January 1st of 2021. It'll probably be second quarter, maybe even June of 2021 before we really start seeing any sort of meaningful event business really starting to come back, just because as been mentioned here, there should be a dip in cases, and we should see things get better over the summer and the warmer months. But everybody that I heard from on the medical community is saying that this will come back again in the fall. And I think there's a lot of concern around that and the what ifs, and when it comes back, will we have a quicker knee jerk? Will we say we have to shut down for 3 months? What will that look like? And so there's a couple of different opportunities, because we also identify that there probably is, if anything comes back this year, there probably is going to be this small window between mid-August and early October, right? Where there's maybe a small growing sense of confidence in corporations to start doing meetings. And we've already seen a lot of our people that are canceling their projects trying to reschedule for in August or September. Everybody's August or September. So what that's going to also create is a challenge with supply and demand, right? If we have, if at Go West we have, say there's 10 major clients that we do 10 projects for, and they're evenly spread out, wouldn't that be lovely? Throughout the year, and all 10 of those clients say, hey, we need you guys in your A team to execute these projects, and we're all rescheduling between August and, beginning of October. We're not going to physically be able to handle that. And so we need to look, and the beauty of these people is like, how do we really start, working together in a truly meaningful, trusting way where I can say, hey, Dave Merrill in Los Angeles, can you handle this project for me with this client? Or, or Jamie down in Florida, can you do this thing for me? And know that next year when world gets back to normal, that's still my client, right? So there's these things that where it's like, well, I want to trust you, but are you going to take my client? So really, we're having these very open, transparent conversations with each other and talking about the elephant in the room, because we need each other and we need to create some sort of way to work together. The agency model piece comes up a lot, but again, it's one of those things where if 50% of us start saying we're going to start billing our clients for every hour and on the RFP process, all that. If only 50% of us do it, then the other 50% of the people out there are going, well, hey, that becomes a sales tool for them. It's like, well, we don't charge for any of those upfront costs, right? And so it becomes one of these things where we have to start figuring out ways to adapt industry-wide policies around this,
David, just that's it. That is like, oh my gosh, you talk about the elephant in the room. That's the circus in the room, and maybe that is something that we can talk about more about an alliance of some sort that is best practices. And if you're going to work with a company, like, here's what you get from us. Here's the criteria. That's a really good point.
Right.
I mean, moving forward, right?
The good housekeeping seal of approul on this company,
yes,
right?
Something,
right?
Yeah.
Something,
Yeah.
A couple other things I want to bring up is, as one of the gentlemen on the call last week, I believe it was Lee Dunlap from Quest mentioned, as he looked at 2020 at being, almost a complete loss, the way he was forecasting for moving forward was say, okay, if 2020 is a complete loss, do we look at our numbers for 2019, and as we plan for 2021, do we target 70 to 80% of what our revenues were in 2019 as a target to budget to in 2021? Which I thought is probably a good way to look at it. The other thing on the force majeure clause, and I know Jonathan brought this up, I do believe this is going to be the battle of the ages, right? Because now every event company and every vendor wants to create stricter guidelines in their force majeure to protect themselves, and every client is want to do the opposing thing on the other side. Is another one of Mahase's cage matches, right? Where they're going to want to have stricter and looser guidelines on how they can get out of things. So this is going to be a big challenge for us. And one of the most interesting things that has come out of this, which I'm really excited about, is last week we did a virtual concert, and we did a fundraiser for my hometown of Nashville, for the creatives and musicians and the event people in Nashville, to try to raise money for them. And through that, I got introduced to Eileen and Shannon at the Live Events Coalition. Now, this is a brand new organization, started off as a Facebook group with I think in the first week they had about 18,000 people join, and they've got many, many more on top of that. But this is a coalition that was formed that is in response to the COVID-19 crisis. And they're pulling together some incredible data that we also need to look as a industry at how we start getting lobbyists, right? Because when you look at the data, that the events industry is a $1.1 trillion global industry around the world, about 400 billion of that being just in the United States. in the U.S., 12 million different jobs are in support of event industry, whether that's hotel workers or event planners or security guys or ticket takers or whatever that is. But 12 million, and those 12 million jobs represent more U.S. workers than telecom, auto, chemical, food manufacturing, and oil and gas combined. And you think that all of those other groups have such strong lobbyists in DC, and we kind of get lumped in as the redheaded stepchild to the hospitality industry and hotels and maybe a little bit on travel. But I think there's a meaningful way that we have to get out there, create an industry body for ourselves, and get out there and get our own people lobbying, because we were the first industry completely shut down. We will be the last industry to completely come back.
Yeah, and you know what? It's an interesting concept, Dave. I've said this for years. We're a young industry, but we're an intrinsic part of business communications, and shifting. Think about this: shifting ourselves to an integrated marketing where we're assimilated with the advertising PR people. It's almost a bigger message because they're used to that. But no, those are really good points. And yes, it's time. It's just time. So don't let me forget this, and we remind everybody in the follow-up resource guide information about the Alliance so that we can.
Coalition.
Yep. So, thank you.
Coalition.
Thank you.
Live Events Coalition, and you can join their Facebook group. Just look them up. Live Events Coalition.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, just stay tuned. I thank you for that. Thanks very much, David.